Hello and welcome to Beyond the Trail podcast. Today I will be hiking on the Intemann Trail with the one and only Samantha Wood. Samantha lives here in Manitou Springs, so we are on a local trail. She's going to, hike with me. We're going to have a chat. How have you been, Sam?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Lately I've been a little bit less of a ultra running and a little bit more working on my strength and doing some other types of races.
Look at those legs.
Some of the races are like, they're called DECA fit or high rocks, and they're kind of like hybrid. So you do run, but you also have to do like a bunch of exercise stations, and some of it's with like heavier weights.
Cool.
And that's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so for those who don't know Sam, she is a badass athlete, obviously. You can tell just by looking at her.
What's she talking about?
She is a Leadwoman for all of you Colorado peeps who know what that is. And for those who aren't familiar with it, why don't you tell us what being a Leadwoman means?
So the Leadville Race Series has this series of races called the Lead Challenge. And it starts with the Leadville Marathon, which runs up Mosquito Pass. And then you can choose on the Silver Rush 50 weekend, you can choose to run or mountain bike.
Oh, it's actually an option?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Or you can do both.
Didn't you do both?
I've done both.
Okay.
But my first year, so I'll get through the races and then I'll explain. But,
Okay.
so you do either the 50 run or bike. Typically people will pick one. And then you have the 100-mile mountain bike, a 10K run, and a 100-mile run as part of the series. So in 2018, I did the series and I did the 50-mile run option. And then I repeated the series in 2022. And I went ahead and I did the run and the bike. So you run 50 miles and then the next day you mountain bike the same course.
Do you get extra points for that?
You don't. They just take your fastest time. And they have like a conversion for the bike. And so they just kind of take your best time. And I'm a better runner than mountain biker.
Okay, so I was about to ask, which one was your best?
Yeah, definitely better runner. The 50-mile course is also a bit more technical than the 100-mile. So that's why I didn't do it the first year, is I was afraid to literally mountain bike that course. But
Is it the biking course the same as the running?
it's exactly the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've done that and twice, and then I decided to sign up again this year
Oh my gosh.
to do it again.
You're crazy. She's a glutton for punishment.
Something about Leadville, it's just a quick drive down the road, so it's easy to get to
Yeah.
from Manitou.
Okay, so that's just one part of who you are. You're also a PT.
Yes, I'm a physical terrorist or therapist, depending on
She's
your
amazing.
feelings.
She's helped me in many situations. Are you still in the Army Guard?
Yes, I serve in the National Guard. I serve in the state of California, which might seem odd because I do live here in Manitou Springs. And I've been in the Army for like 16 years. So I got a little bit of ways to go.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. And I get to do, one of the cool things I get to do in the Guard is I get to do a lot of sports in the Guard, sponsored by the Guard. And part of the mission is a recruiting mission with that. So,
Meaning,
well, so next month, for example, I'll be doing the Boston Marathon. And it's sponsored, by the National Guard.
cool.
But in the days prior, at the expo, all the Guard athletes will be there talking to people, and if anyone's interested in serving, just giving them more information.
Sure.
And kind of getting them to recruiters.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
That is cool. Is that your primary job in the Guard?
It's not.
Okay.
I kind of stumbled upon it. For folks listening, I've served on active duty. I've served in the Army Reserves. Then I transferred to the National Guard a few years ago and became heavily involved in their sports programs. But I'm actually in a position at the headquarters, at the Joint Force headquarters.
Oh, okay.
So that's like my position is there.
Cool.
Yeah, it's an extra duty.
I didn't realize you were active duty.
Yes, I did. I was 7 years active duty.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
The things you learn about your friends on podcasts.
Right.
Yeah, I was stationed at Fort Carson for a while, so that's what got me to Colorado Springs.
Cool.
Which I'm sure is a very common story for people, but...
Yeah. Because you're originally from where?
I am from Texas. Yeah, South Texas.
Yeah. Sometimes you could tell with their accent.
It'll probably come out. Depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah. Sometimes.
And then I lived in Tennessee when I was an undergrad. I went to school in Nashville.
Okay. So you're a Southern girl.
Yeah. I tell people, just as like, when you're doing a meet and greet and they ask you about fun facts, or if you have like 2 truths and a lie,
Oh, yeah.
I always throw in that I used to skin alligators. I used to skin alligators for a part-time job.
And is that a truth or a lie?
It's a truth.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's Texas, so that's something that could happen in Texas.
Where did you skin alligators, though?
You say where?
Where? Like at a zoo? Or?
Well, that would be weird. So in my hometown, there's a gentleman that has a business, and there is a gator hunting season. But if they have an aggressive nuisance alligator, if they can transplant it, they will. But sometimes they don't, and so they may also end its life.
Okay.
So it's kind of a periodic job. You basically, I'd get a call on the phone that was like, hey, our freezer has like 3 gators, so in the next couple days, come and take care of it. So it was that kind of job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have to kill it?
No.
Okay. They killed it, you skinned it.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
They were just frozen. Well, I shouldn't say they were frozen. They were refrigerated gators.
Oh, God.
Yeah, super fun. But at the time, I was between college and graduate school.
Yeah.
Which graduate school was U.S. Army Baylor, so I had joined the Army to go into grad school.
Is that in San Antonio?
It is.
Okay. That's...
Yeah, so I just had a year where I was kind of preparing for that.
Yeah.
And I took any job I could find in my hometown. It's very small.
Gotcha. Okay, so we know you're an ultra runner. You're in the Army.
Yes.
And you also compete in other types of events. What are those? Like CrossFit or Spartan?
So I would say I've been like an endurance runner for 24 years.
Okay.
And I did that in high school and college. Once I joined the Army, I started out doing their 10-miler teams and marathon teams. So I got to know some of the coaches in the sports programs.
Okay.
And my first event that wasn't just pure running,
Let's get a good fall.
this is so fun though, was orienteering. So I actually went to Germany and Austria in 2014.
Oh, that's awesome.
And did orienteering. Super fun. It's not a big sport in the US, very big in Europe, or I should say much bigger in Europe.
Yeah.
They're very good. In 2015, the Army created an obstacle course racing team.
Okay.
And that's why I got into Spartan racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's OCR?
Yes, OCR.
Yeah. Cool.
So, Fort Carson had a Spartan race before. My friends were like, you should run it. And I'm like, no, I'm just a runner. I don't need to do the monkey bars. But once we put a team together, I was a bit more motivated. So I've done that, and then in the recent years, I did biathlon for the National Guard, some competitive shooting, and then with our endurance team, we do kind of hybrid stuff like high rocks and DECA fit. But I hesitate to call it CrossFit because it is a bit different. Some overlap though. Yeah. But if I did a CrossFit competition, I'd be very concerned.
I think I can take her. I think I'm gonna try to take
In
you.
CrossFit? You do have workouts that you do. You know, I've seen your stuff. You got your dumbbells.
Yeah.
and
I think
lunging.
I'm gonna try to challenge her at the end of this.
Yeah. Oh God. Lifting if we can find a log, maybe, to lift.
Do you want to head up red?
We can. We
It
absolutely
looks
can.
Kind of sunny up there.
Probably
yeah?
be a little slidey, but we can just see what happens.
Okay, let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Red Mountain.
Well, there's a whole story behind
Yeah.
Red Mountain. Yeah.
What is that story?
Okay, I'm going to tell it wrong,
Okay.
but there was a lady that had come to Manitou, I want to say in the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. And pretty sure she had tuberculosis. Like everybody was coming over to recover from tuberculosis. But she ended up dying and she wanted to be buried at the top of Red Mountain. Her name was Emma Crawford.
Oh yeah.
And so they did just that, but there was like a big flood that like washed her, I guess, remains down into the town of Manitou, which sounds creepy. I don't know how creepy it was in reality, but at some point after that, they started right around Halloween, the Emma Crawford coffin races, which is super fun.
Those are fun.
And everyone dresses up. It's a big parade, and then there's a race. Thanks to this poor lady passing away and her remains getting uprooted. And I think now she's just buried in the cemetery, town cemetery.
That's good. We don't need her remains coming back into town. Well, this might be a little...
This is slidey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have brought our spikes.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I don't have my spikes.
What do you think?
Well, I haven't been running that much lately, so it's whatever Dreama thinks.
Maybe we should like stick to the trail where
Okay.
we can at least keep our footing.
Okay.
We did not come prepared.
Podcasters don't want to see Dreama hurt herself on the podcast.
Well, I mean, I don't mind
me.
falling. I think that would be pretty funny, but I do have a race in 2 days, so
Right.
kinda.
Very exciting. And where is that?
Moab,
In Moab.
behind the rocks,
Oh,
a Mad Moose event. Yeah.
I've only done it once.
Uh-huh.
I did it in sandals.
Oh, God.
The main issue was there's some sand. And I really didn't think about the sand rubbing between my foot and
yeah.
the sandal. So I finished it, but it was a little bit rough.
Oh, man.
No pun
You
intended.
did the 50K?
Yes.
Oh, man. I hear it's a really beautiful course.
It is. And I think there's one part where you kind of have to climb a little bit like a ladder or something.
Oh, yeah. I heard that. Yeah. Cool.
Which isn't hard, but if your muscles are, if it's a warm day and your muscles are tight,
Yeah.
it's a good cramp situation.
Okay. I'll keep that in
Just
mind.
be careful. Those are the things I think about as a PT. I'm like, where am I going to cramp?
Yeah. Oh. How do you train for all of these different disciplines? I mean, you're running Leadwoman again, or you're doing Leadwoman again, and you are participating or competing in these like Army OCR events, right?
Correct.
Do you have any coming up?
I just finished a DECA fit
Okay.
in Tennessee.
What does that mean? I don't know what DECA.
Yeah,
Fit
DECA fit is, it's
Connect.
basically from the Spartan people. And what it is it's, you start out with a 500-meter run. This is done indoors.
Okay.
And so you run 500 meters around, like a big loop. And inside that loop are 10 exercise stations. So 500 meters, you run into the first station. If you're a woman, you put 30 pounds on your back, and you start doing reverse lunges. Or it might be 20 pounds or something.
Really?
Yeah, and so you do 30 reverse lunges, then you run 500 meters. Then you come back and you get on a rower and you row 500 meters.
Oh, cool.
And so you just repeat this through 10 different exercise stations.
Okay.
And it's very much redlining. None of the weights are super heavy, but your last station is like 20 burpees with this rated ram. Looks like a foam roller.
Okay.
But it's like 20 something pounds.
Okay.
So you do a burpee and you throw it, you have it in the air and you're pretty smoked by then.
Uh-huh.
So
you have to catch it? Or you're holding on to it?
You're holding
the
it
whole
up above
thing?
your head.
Okay,
You have to lock out.
Okay.
Yeah. So
how-
you're basically like doing track work, right? Like 400
Yeah.
meter repeats, but then you're just stopping and doing
okay.
exercises.
So how long does an event like that last, like time-wise?
So that's a good question. I want to say the faster guys do about a half hour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then the faster women are low 30s.
Okay.
Because you are running a 5K and you have a lot of turns because it's indoors and it's not a track, it's a polished concrete.
Okay.
So sometimes the concrete's actually dusty and you slide a little bit on the turns.
So are these in like hangars or something?
Say that again?
Are they in hangars? Like airplane hangars?
I've
or?
seen them in convention centers.
Oh, okay.
Like big convention centers.
Cool.
High Rocks is almost exactly the same, but you're running 1,000 meters at a time. And then you're doing things like if you're a female, you might be pushing a sled that's like 330 pounds.
Okay.
So it's not lightweight. Or you're doing burpee broad jumps for 100 meters. And so it's just even more intense, I guess,
Okay.
than DECA.
And DECA stands for what?
DECA's 10. So I think they're just going off the idea that it's like 10 stations.
Gotcha.
DECA Fit.
Okay.
They have a DECA Strong and a DECA Mile. And I haven't
Okay.
actually done, I think I've actually done one DECA Strong, the Spartan Games.
Okay.
But it was like still in the making
Okay.
at the time.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's some different variations.
So what distance in the Spartan Games have you done?
Surprisingly, I've never done an ultra beast.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, I've only done a beast,
Okay.
which is going to be less than a marathon.
Okay.
Oftentimes it's maybe closer to 20 miles.
You would probably dominate in the
15
ultra.
miles.
Okay.
And Tough Mudder's like that. Tough Mudder has the 24-hour race.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done basically the beast and then shorter distances.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Cool.
I don't know why.
I think you would dominate.
Maybe I just think my hands would get tired. I don't know.
So, okay, how do you train for all of these different types of events?
Oh my God, this is the hardest question ever. Well, I feel like when you train endurance for a really long time, that's like the slowest thing that you're going to lose. So you'll lose power, speed,
Let's take a moment and look at this.
faster. Here's
Okay.
we're going to look at this, guys.
So the trail that we're on is called the Paul Intemann Trail, and it actually has a really cool story behind it. Paul Intemann was the late Manitou Springs city planner, and unfortunately he died at the age of 30 when he was involved in a traffic accident, and this was in 1986. But before he passed, he had shared his dream of creating a trail that followed the contours of the mountain ridgeline of Red Mountain and Iron Mountain above Manitou Springs. And he had shared this with friends, and they wanted to honor his dream. So after his passing, they organized the Intemann Trail Committee, and they ended up building the trail themselves. And on the day of the build, they had over 150 workers come and volunteer their time. And they ended up building almost a mile's worth of trail that day.
I think at one time, very briefly,
Do you want to hold that for a second?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think some of the early pioneers might have thought that there was gold in Williams.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as well as up like the Bar Trail But none of that lasted very long at all.
They didn't find anything.
Yeah, I think they barely found anything. They're like, we can't do anything with this. We're done.
But it became like a great place for sick people to come and try to heal themselves.
Yes, and just outdoor recreation, fresh air,
Yeah.
hunting, fishing. I grew up doing that. I don't really do that here, but I grew up
Yeah, hunting and fishing.
finding our food.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's super important. Like, it's something that I don't know. We don't always like think about, or when we do think about it, we think about just the negative aspect of like killing a life. But you know, if you are a meat eater and you're going to the grocery store, then what's the difference? You know, between. I mean, it's actually way better to know where it came from and.
Yeah, and I think you can do things on your terms too. Mm-hmm. So, like growing up hunting, I feel like I was a silly little kid. But one thing I would do anytime I took a deer or a rabbit, I mean, we pretty much ate everything.
Okay.
Anytime I took an animal, I would say a little prayer over the animal.
Really?
And yes.
Did somebody teach you that? Or
Well, we would often pray like before we had dinner. But I just started doing it on my own. Like anytime that, I would take an animal because I recognized that, you know, something was, had to die for me to live, you know.
Right.
And it's kind of a respectful thing. And I just felt a little bit better about it because I'm a meat eater. Like, if you're going to ask me what my favorite source of protein is, it's red meat. It's red meat. So, to be honest. So, but, you know, I'm basically like, whatever you feel great eating, like, I don't
absolutely.
I'm a garbage disposal, is what I am. So, I have no food allergies. I pretty much like everything.
Same. Well, I think that's beautiful that, like, at an early age, when you were, you know, taking a life, that you had the maturity to say a little prayer. Like, that wasn't taught, that wasn't instilled in you by maybe your father or your mother, or just something that was...
I would say a general sense of gratitude, for sure, was instilled.
Yeah.
My parents didn't grow up with a whole lot, and even just an idea of like, how did my family grow up? Not me, but my grandmother on my mom's side. I remember going over to her house when I was a kid, and they didn't have a hot water heater, so they would have to boil water on the stove if they wanted to take a bath.
Yeah.
And I was in college before she had a hot water heater. Yeah.
Wow.
So this was in the mid-2000s. So just a general sense of like, you just don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
And you're appreciative of what you have. That's probably why I feel like one reason why simple things make me so happy. And I really appreciate simple things. That's, I think, one reason.
Yeah. I think that's something that I've recognized in you and have, like, appreciated that. And I feel like you're always, in my eyes, I feel like you're always working on yourself, you know? And you've taught me a lot. I mean, I'm now, I would say I kind of practice the Tao, and that's something that you introduced into really cool. my life. So, I've read it multiple times. I have it, you know, nearby, and I love learning about it. So, thank you for that.
That's amazing. And I know you had like looked at it, but I just think about perspectives in life, and as I've gotten older, kind of understanding paradox. Like, this one thing can be true, but the complete opposite can also be true at the same time for people. And so, like in physical therapy, as with a lot of careers, but you know, I'm meeting new people, I'm trying to figure out what's their paradigm, how do they see themselves and their injury or whatever it is. And you can't, if you're just looking at your own experience, you can't relate to everybody that walks in, but you want to be able to help them. So how can you relate to somebody really you don't have the life experience to understand? And I just think
And how do you?
Well, I think understanding that the way I feel is that there are very few, I mean so few absolute truths. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But a relative truth is me saying, for Sam, I know if I'm doing this and I maybe I make decisions based on this feeling, that's right for me, and that is an absolute truth for me.
Yeah.
And so when people tell me their absolute truth, they may not know that's what they're saying. For them, they might think, when they're telling me their relative truth, they think it's an absolute truth. But it is true for them. So what I'm getting at is being able to say, it's okay if someone else's truth is completely different than mine, and that's actually normal.
Right.
It's normal that people have different truths. There's going to be things that overlap, and that's where you make a connection. But by respecting people's own truths, you can actually help them.
And not trying to change them, and not trying to kind of influence the way that they see things, but just coming to the table knowing that you're both coming from different places, so your thoughts and will be different, and the way that you look at the world will be different.
Totally.
And that's okay.
And you haven't lived their life, and you just don't know. And we all also have different personalities of how we process things. So one thing I find, I might lose this train of thought, but if I'm able to be a witness for somebody, sometimes that's the thing that they need. Because I cannot solve everyone's chronic pain, everyone's back surgery that went wrong. If I've had patients that were on their deathbeds, I can't fix it, but we can be a witness for people. What's more scary? To die? We're all going to die.
Right.
Or to die and feel that you've not been known.
Yeah. To not feel alone.
Yeah. Or to go through any crisis and feel
alone. I think it's one of our greatest fears, is being and feeling like you're alone. Yeah.
Even in success.
Yeah.
Even in good things. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we walk back, or is there another way that we could go?
As far as the closest trail, to stay on the trail, we would probably have to turn around.
Here,
unless we're going Pikes Peak today.
Or we could do it. We could do an incline.
Now, Dreama's cold right now. You guys probably don't know that, but we're in the shade, snow. It's actually pretty chilly out.
So Sam, I love that. I really do think that it is one of the best things you can offer another person.
Can I tell you why I think working on yourself is so good?
Yeah, tell me.
It's not just quote, to be a better person. That's great. I mean, it does, that's what happens. But, imagine you have a daughter. Let's say something you need to work on is your self-image, how much you appreciate your body, and whatever, as you age, especially. Or as, let's say, your athletic performance declines.
Sure.
So the work that you do on yourself, your children know your energy. They pick up on, does my mother love her body?
Yeah.
And you end up being, it's like when one person yawns and another person can't help but yawn.
Yeah.
We get these things stuck in our head. Even if we don't believe them, we might struggle with it because someone we looked up to or we cared about questioned themselves in that way. Question their worth, question their value, so forth.
Yeah.
So I think the self-work in a lot of ways it can be so subtle you have no idea who you're impacting by learning to truly love and value and appreciate your own worth.
Yeah, and even if you don't have a daughter or a child, the way that your energy comes off to those around you, you can have a positive or a negative impact on your friends or other members of your family. And like, do you want to have that negative impact, or do you want to have a positive one? Right? Like,
how will people remember you?
how,
I think about that sometimes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
How
Yeah.
will people remember me? And how do I want to remember myself, I guess?
Yeah.
In another way.
Or how do you want people to remember you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh. We're in an ice box right now.
I know. It is so cold.
I'm a brain freeze now. So, kind of like I was saying, like, it's maybe the best way to remember is, okay, this is going to sound so cliche, but it's how do other people feel when they're with you?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, maybe I can achieve something that positively impacts the world, like Nelson Mandela, or, you know, like,
Yeah.
there are people that had these great achievements that changed the world. So that exists, but there's also nothing wrong with living a life that just makes people happy to be alive. The people around you are happy to be alive.
Yeah, there's like micro and macro changes, right? Like, you can affect, you could affect the world potentially, but you could also affect individuals. And I think that's really beautiful, like, to leave behind a legacy of love and acceptance and positivity. And not saying you always have to be positive, you know?
Yes,
it's
don't
okay.
negate your struggle or reality.
Right.
But there is, I believe, a point in time at which,
Just trying to warm up.
yeah, people can like almost become like overly consumed, right? If you can't get out of a negative state,
Yeah.
that's definitely a sign that, you know, getting some kind of help, friends or family or professional, whatever you need. And I know it's actually kind of difficult sometimes in this day and age.
I feel like it's getting easier. Have you had, you know, times in your life where you've sought help and have gotten like positive results? Or I know that I have.
Yeah, and I haven't, I mean, it's tricky because actually some of my friends are professionals.
Oh, nice.
So in that way, I probably have had professional counseling, even when I'm talking to more in like, okay, we're going to meet at a coffee shop and just talk about life. But absolutely, like, it's not a one-woman show.
Right.
I would say a lot of it's leaning on, because I have such a great community, it's leaning on that community.
Yeah.
But if that wasn't working, you know, there's so many different ways to go about it. And I always encourage people, it's not that there's a right way, it's that you find the way that's right for you.
For you.
And that if it doesn't work out, like, there are so many other ways. Like,
Yeah.
don't give up. Like, there's like literally a million ways
Yeah.
to do something. Yeah.
I think that for me, and running has never been necessarily like an escape, but it has helped me through certain times in my life and certain struggles. And just being out in nature. So I find like if I'm really struggling or feeling depressed or unmotivated or whatever, if something in my life is making me sad, that like going out and running, you know, with friends or without even solo, like I feel so much better when I return.
Yeah, the same. And I would even say like running especially and being in nature, but I just have to move my body.
Yeah.
Just have to move my body.
Yeah.
I think there's something to the natural world in terms of its expansiveness is so big. When you're out here, there's like, even if you're on the prairie, you have a big sky.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to, like, literally when you're anxious or you're upset or you're depressed, oftentimes your focus is so narrow.
It's internal.
Yes, and it's like so narrow. But when you go outside and you start to see this literal, big, expansive, open world,
Yeah.
I think it helps your brain relax for a second and say, okay, there's something outside of this problem that I'm having right now. And you can experience something outside of the problem. Not that running on a treadmill wouldn't provide some stress relief, but it's not exactly the same.
Right. Oh, I agree.
Exercise is good, folks. Keep it up.
I agree, though. Like, something about being in the natural world is so healing. I love it.
Even when it's cold and sloppy.
Yeah. Even when my fingers are about to fall off.
I literally have to run to keep up with Jima right now, guys.
What? No.
I have to run to keep up with her uphill hiking.
Yeah, right.
Somehow I think I have longer legs, but I have to run to keep up with her walking.
No.
I don't know, they can see me trotting back here.
Yeah, right. You are so fast.
Oh boy.
I know, my fingers. Yeah, I think all of that is some really beautiful stuff. One reason I love, like, when we go on our runs and we talk about this kind of stuff is I always feel better when I leave the conversation, and so thank you. And I've really enjoyed learning about the Tao and just how much you can apply it to like everyday life.
Yeah, so
Different
what would you
things.
say, can you give us an example of something you've done?
Yeah, something like maybe, I don't know, like letting things just be. Not forcing. I think that's a big one.
Okay,
It's like
I have
just
a question
letting.
about that.
Okay.
Do you, Dreama, now I'm interviewing you.
Okay, yeah,
Do
go ahead.
you find a certain, it's very subtle, but a certain amount of relaxation creates a certain amount of flow? Do you find this? I am asking a leading question.
Okay.
Or no?
Do I find that relaxation leads to
Well,
flow?
I mean relaxing into what is,
Okay.
not forcing. Do you find that allows you to be in more of a flow with life? Very leading question, folks.
Yeah, that is a leading question.
You can just say no.
I'm not sure that I have recognized that if it does. I just find that I think I just feel happier when I'm not forcing things to happen because society thinks they should be that way, or I think that they should be that way.
Okay.
I just feel calmer. Why do you ask?
It's so interesting. I'm going to caveat by saying I don't know anything. I don't know. But there's this weird thing that so much of good things that have happened in my life have all been kind of like, it's not because I was the best at something or being super strategic, but it was more like a timing thing, and I just sort of
Happened?
a relative letting go of like, you know, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do for graduate school, but I knew I didn't want to skin gators forever. so I, you know, I ended up joining the Army, but that was a difficult program to get into. There was a lot of ifs, and I just said, you know what, I'll go through the process, but I'm not going to stress about it. And the more I find that I don't care, and I have that just happiness, as you're describing, things kind of work out.
I agree.
When you're not forcing it.
Right, like I just feel calmer, I feel more at peace.
I also find that humor plays an important part in my life.
I love that.
Being able to continually laugh
Yeah.
and not take myself too seriously.
Yeah.
Because typically when I'm stressed, I'm taking myself way too seriously.
Yeah.
So that's another little tip.
I like that.
Yeah. And when you're relaxed,
I love to laugh.
when you're relaxed and you're having fun, your brain works better. You make better decisions. You can come from a standpoint of being like caring, a good listener, a little more loving, a little more patient.
Yeah.
All the above.
Here, let's take a look at this view.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
I love this view. So sometimes I do go to the elementary school. It's open to the public, and I play at the playground because we have basketball hoops. And that's where I learned to ride my electronic unicycle.
Awesome.
Was
Oh yeah.
at the school.
Cool.
Manitou Springs is a very special town. There's so much history that I couldn't possibly share it all with you today. But what I will share is the fact that there are 7 springs throughout town that each have a different mineral content. And people have been flocking to Manitou Springs for hundreds of years. Back in the 1800s, it was the place for people who had tuberculosis to come to because they believed that the waters could help heal them.
So I am going to attempt again to try to do the Leadville Race Series in Luna sandals.
What?
It got it got
Okay.
cut a little bit short in 2022.
Okay.
I tried that, and I did the marathon and the 50. But then when the 100-mile race came, the forecast was for rain, and the course was like super muddy. Not a good sandal situation. So I wore shoes. I'm not crazy. I will wear shoes. So it's more like I just have fun running in sandals. I just have fun.
Really?
Yeah. It's so much fun. It's like I feel like a kid playing. I don't even know I'm racing half the time.
Really?
Yes. Yes. It's totally different.
Wow.
So I'm gonna try it again and see if I can do that. I have done the Leadville 100 in sandals in 2016 as my first 100.
You did the whole thing in sandals?
I did. I ran it in sandals. Wow. Now at the time, before people are like, "Oh my God, who and why is this chick?" At the time, like all shoes were pretty much bothering my feet. So it was just the most comfortable thing that I could wear. Whew. And so that's why. But now I'm more just like doing it for fun. Or going to attempt it, assuming the weather cooperates.
Wow. You're a nut, but I love you.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi.
I like to think of things as experiments.
So what was your time when you ran the Leadville in sandals?
28:15 or something like that.
She beat my time when I was in Hokas.
But I also rolled my ankle before the 50-mile mark, like on the way to Winfield.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a horrible sprain, but continuing 50 more miles on it was pretty rough.
I puked for the first 50.
You just didn't have any calories.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but I tried. I did try to eat. It just was coming right back up.
Last year, I was nauseated the entire Leadville 100.
Yeah.
The entire time.
I think if you go out too fast.
I thought of you.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
You didn't?
No, I definitely didn't go out too fast.
I went out too fast, and I just couldn't get my body to relax.
I had leftover beef stroganoff at 3 a.m.
right.
for breakfast. And it was a really hot day.
Oh my God.
And you can ask my friend Joe Miller. I was, you know how the last bit of the race you're just walking up a slight uphill?
Yeah.
So in the last 5 miles, I'm walking uphill, and Joe's encouraging me to at least walk faster. So I try to, and I immediately start gagging.
Yeah.
Like a dry heaving.
Oh, yeah.
So my stomach
Been
was
there.
bad. But I didn't throw up.
Oh.
I just felt sick the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought of you the whole time. I was like, Dreama did this.
I did.
And she did it.
It was torture. I did it.
I was so proud of you that year, as much as it
Really?
sucked. Yes.
Oh. I wasn't very proud of myself.
Look, when you feel good, I'm not trying to downplay people's good performances, but when you feel good, you feel good.
Yeah.
When you feel bad
It is a
and
struggle.
you still finish,
Yeah.
that's, the real deal.
But I feel like struggle helps define us. Like, if we didn't have those struggles and those moments of, I don't know, they're learning experiences for sure, like, who would we be? You know, who would we be if we didn't have the struggles in our life?
I agree. Oh my God. So there's a guy, everybody probably has heard of this guy named Michael Singer. He wrote a book called The Untethered Soul. But he talks about that.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. He's like, let's say you played pickup basketball with your friends and like every shot was nothing but net. He's like,
Right.
pretty soon no one would want to play with you.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't learn anything. You would literally
Right.
just be so comfortable. I think
Yeah.
you would hate it.
I feel like,
It would be boring.
exactly.
do you
Like,
do?
we would be boring if we didn't have.
I'm already boring with struggles.
No, you're not. I feel like, even though some of my struggles in my life I wish maybe didn't happen or had been different, they really are what makes me me.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't really the good stuff. I mean,
She's trying to be careful because she's trying to tell the universe I'm not asking for more problems.
Right.
But I also recognize.
yeah, I've had enough. I'm good, universe.
Thank you, though.
But for those out there who feel like everything's been great.
Are you like, let's just keep the struggle like within an ultra marathon?
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally.
But that is a good way of continued learning and resilience, and you know, gosh, there's so many things. We talk a lot about community, but it's the fabric of
Yeah.
like a lot of our motivation. You know, it's not just for ourselves.
Right.
So all
Yeah.
wrapped up there.
Yeah. I know for me personally, I love having community. I love having my good friends. I love, like, I don't know, like being able to help others. I mean, kind of why I wanted to do this is like to share stories of people and maybe help inspire, you know, others out there with my awesome guests.
Well, I think it's amazing. Like, I was thinking about your kids' camp and how
Thank you for helping with that,
I'm
by the way.
super excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
And just, exposure, because I was exposed to running at 14, and that was just such a huge confidence builder, social structure, discipline. It's like all of a sudden I had to like pay attention to what I was eating. I couldn't just eat Little Debbie's and drink soda all the time. My coach was like, stop drinking soda. And she made up a reason. She was like, the carbonation will make it harder to breathe.
That's so funny.
And we didn't really have, the internet existed, but listen, in 1999,
yeah.
I didn't use the internet,
Right.
like barely at all.
Yeah.
So I
went
wasn't
to a
looking
friend's
that
house
up.
to use it.
Yeah. I wasn't fact checking my coach. I was like, well, okay, that sounds good. I believe my coach. So yeah, all of a sudden you have this goal as a kid, you know,
Yeah.
and then you can be surrounded by just positivity. Someone,
Yeah.
like my coach always said, you can do it, Sam, you can do
Yeah.
it. I didn't believe in myself enough, but she did. And that
I love that.
was so transformative.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it is like kind of get to them early.
Get to them early.
Get to them early. Yeah, like, you know, other sports have youth soccer, youth basketball, but we don't really have like, I mean, we do, you know, there are the land sharks and here in Colorado, but like, this is different. This is like solely focused on trails and confidence building, and they're going to be learning from the best. I mean, we have
Oh my gosh.
Joe, Brandon, Melissa as the coaches. They're amazing.
All-star cast.
All-star cast.
A-listers.
Yeah, and yourself, and like, it's just going to be, yeah, it's super fun to be able to mentor and mold young minds and show them that like trail running is for everyone and trail running is fun, you know?
Yeah.
Like everybody, you know, everyone can do it. Like,
And if you're having a rough day, pull out the water guns. Pull out the squirt guns.
Yeah.
And go for a run with your friends.
right.
Our coach, it was so hot in Texas. Okay, it's Texas.
Well, I ran in Florida. I know.
You know. Okay. So she would keep a cooler of ice water and just towels. And you were supposed to, like after you ran an interval, grab the towel and cool off. But I sometimes would get so hot, I'm a heavy sweater, I would just stick my head in the ice bucket. So I was like doing the ice baths before it was like, well,
before it was cool.
for my head,
Right.
basically.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's, I don't know, it is for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's so fun.
It is so fun.
It's so fun.
Like just running on the trails makes me so happy. And I wanted to share that with kids. So we will have 32, hopefully this year. Last year we had 16 at our inaugural trail running camp, and now we'll have 32. So we need more help, more volunteers.
Growing by 100% every year, it's gonna.
Yeah, we have some awesome sponsors who have come on board too. Our Vipa Running is helping out. They're going to create bibs for the kids with our
Awesome.
logo on it, and yeah, they've donated, to the camp, and ATRA, Nancy donated. So we have wonderful support in the community, which is, you know, necessary because it's a nonprofit. And
Yeah. It's getting bigger.
not really. Yeah, so I'm very grateful for everybody who has wanted to help, you know, contribute and make a difference. Well, Sam, we are kind of coming to the end. I feel like we could talk for hours,
could.
though.
Talk
We
forever.
should probably have,
Let these people's ears rest.
no, we should probably have a take 2.
Oh, okay. I'd be happy to.
Okay.
We can talk about whatever. I am a physical therapist.
You're amazing, and I always feel inspired when I am done running with you or just chatting with you, because you have. I love that you're always, like I said, working on yourself, and it's not just for you, like you say. It's for those around you, and trying to be a better friend and just a better human in the world.
Oh, thank you, Jima.
You're
I feel
amazing.
the same way about you. I'm so glad we're friends.
Me too. Thank you. So I'm doing this thing where I'm surprising my guests with a challenge.
Okay. Okay.
And since you are such a badass in like all things physical, I was like kind of racking my brain, like what could I beat her at? Maybe push-ups? What do you think?
Oh,
I mean, I want to win this, so what can I beat you at?
Oh. Probably most
What are you really
anything.
bad at?
You could probably actually beat me at push-ups. I
really? Let's do
I did some jazzercising this morning. So
Oh, that was you out in the park?
how fresh I am, I don't know. You could probably get me. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that we were gonna. I have to pull up my basketball.
Yeah, no, we're gonna
Whatever you want, my friend.
All right. Well, I
Embarrass myself.
just want to win, okay? Like, I don't really.
I just want to win. I also have been working on this thing where I just relax and I'm not super.
Yeah. So you know that thing that we talked about where, like, you know, I'm trying not to control the situation all. Well,
I remember.
I take that back. Okay. I'm trying to win. How do I beat Sam at, where are we?
Actually, we're close to my house.
Okay.
I did trivia the other night, and the only things I knew, there was an anatomy question and a Little Debbie question. Everything else I didn't know, so you could probably beat me at trivia, no problem.
I want to beat you at something physical.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
All right. I got it. We're going to have a plank off.
Oh, dear Jesus.
If you're enjoying this podcast and you would like to help support my work, you can go out to www.patreon.com/BeyondTheTrailPodcast. There are both paid and non-paid member opportunities. If you do become a paid member, I will offer exclusive content. You will be able to enjoy behind-the-scenes content, bonus content, sneak peeks. You'll be able to participate in monthly giveaways for a chance to win exciting prizes and merchandise. And you will be able to join member-only events. I'll do live Q&As, virtual meetups, and other cool interactive experiences. I'll also do shout-outs on my podcast to everyone who joins.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to say before we sign out?
I just want to say thanks for tuning in. Dream is amazing. Keep tuning into her episodes.
Aww.
I'm so excited to see
you.
all these great conversations that you have.
Thank you. Love you. All right. Peace. Thank you for tuning in.
And so here are the first people that I would like to thank for joining the Beyond the Trail podcast community. I would like to shout out Brittany Miles, Chad Weber, Natasha Swartley, Angelisa Arosha, Diara Cropper, and Zach Kazak. Thank you all for joining the Beyond the Trail podcast community.